Baruch Levi B here from Soul Centered. Thank you for tuning in. Some of you are watching this vis-a-vis video. Some are listening on podcast. And either way, I'm honored and privileged to be getting to share these ideas with you ongoing, what I call the Defiant Spirit. Just a quick recap. The Defiant Spirit, which I have this whole podcast dedicated because sometimes it's conceptual, and conceptually it's the work of Dr. Viktor Frankl and logotherapy, meaning-centered psychotherapy. He's author of Man's Search for Meaning, and it's really about finding meaning in our lives. It's Kabbalah, the Jewish mystical tradition, open to, accessible to anybody. Really the blueprints of our soul, of divinity, and how to walk a life of spiritual connection. The Enneagram, which I'm passionate about. The Enneagram is an ancient psychological spiritual system, Buddhist mindfulness meditation practice, yoga, and other traditions. But that's conceptual. And in this video and this podcast, I want to talk practical. I want to talk about how I try and live my life and how I work with clients. I get asked quite often, can I just boil down, because I'm clergy, I'm rabbi, I'm a conceptual thinker, and I sometimes I get a little overly complex, and I get asked to just boil it down, right? Say it clearly. How do I work with clients? Because sometimes people just don't know how they might work with me. And I want to share with you just clear and clean the work I do with clients. So I'm going to do this over the next few podcasts and videos. Just boiled down, succinct messages, and it comes down to one word. I mean, the work that I do in my life, spiritually, that I try to do, the work that I definitely do with others, is help live a life of integrity. Now, before you check out, because integrity is one of those old school words where we kind of hear our priest or the minister or the rabbi, wagging his or her finger, moralizing. That's not what I mean by integrity. When I think of integrity and the work I do with clients around integrity comes down to the original intention of the word, which is integral, integrated, whole. That's what integrity means, right? An integer it's a whole. It's not compartmentalized. That's what I think of when I think of integrity, a wholeness. In Kabbalah, the word is shlemut, and it has a nice root to it that really brings it home. Shlemut, and some of you know this word, shalom. There's a peacefulness, there's a wholeness when you're living a life of integrity. Or another meaning of shlemut is shalem, which means complete. When you're with somebody who's in integrity, who's living a life of integrity, there is a wholeness, there is a flow, there is an energy that they just emanate. And partially it comes down to because they're not compartmentalized. What do I mean by compartmentalized? And really, this is part of almost every conversation I have with clients, because most of my clients are the afternoon of life. We'll call it 30, 35, 40 at the latest, and onwards. And from that moment onwards, you start to recognize that our society, the way we're built, it doesn't matter why, but we are built, or we are encouraged to live compartmentalized lives. So at work, this is the version of me. And at home, this is another version of me. And as a son, I'm this way. And as a Christian or as a Jew, I'm that way. And as an American, I'm this way. And with friends, I'm that way. And compartmentalized, different versions and variations of me. Or we can live compartmentalized. My teens, I was this way. In my 20s, I was this way. In my 30s, I was this way. You get to a point in life, and it's different for everybody. And sometimes it doesn't come at all, and sometimes it comes very early. But you oftentimes will get to a point where you say to yourself, I can't live this way anymore. I can't live variations and versions of me. Why? Because at some level, if it's a version of me, if it's not the true me, then it's the false me. It's the false you. It's the false self. It isn't to say it's bad, right? Sometimes you have to live variations and versions of you for 1,000 different reasons. But oftentimes it catches up to us. Oftentimes I meet people when they can't perpetuate the falsehood, the version, the variation, or the outright lie. And they'll start saying things like, I feel depleted. I feel tired. I feel fraudulent. I want to feel more energy. I want to feel flow. I want to feel authentically live a life of authenticity, and that's integrity. And what we do is we start looking at all the versions and the variations, how they came to be, why they continue to be, what we're like within them, what we're like when we're not within them. When you're a version of yourself at work and they know you one way, and then you come home and you're a totally different version of yourself, there's a lack of congruity, is that a word? A lack of rhythm, of harmony, of balance. And so you're jumping from identity to identity, from role to role. And you feel fragmented because life is 100%. You have 100% of your life. And you use 10% here and 10% there and 10% there. You feel like you're doing nothing 100% because you're not, because you're jumping from thing to thing, from identity to identity, from self to self. Now, that's one way of living. But when you shift into integrity, when you shift into getting rid of those compartments, then who you are at work and who you are at home becomes much more integrated, integrity. I think of it as from Teresa of Avila, great Catholic mystic. She's got an amazing concept called the interior castle. She talks about who we are with having many rooms in this castle. And the work that I do in my own life and helping other people is to go into those different rooms and almost to do a kind of an architectural, construction makeover in that interior castle. And I think of it actually in terms of what's happened in architecture and lots of people's homes today. I go in and more people have an open floor plan. We have one in my house. Seems to be a trend where less rooms is better. And having one bigger open space is preferable. Why? Well, I know why in my house. Because there's more energy, there's more flow. You can see what's going on. It feels more inclusive. And I think the same is true in our own lives. Moving from an old model of compartmentalization to a newer, I don't think it really is newer, I think it's ancient too, of an open floor plan in my life so that I'm no longer a variation or version of me at work. I went through this personally when I changed professions, when I left behind being a congregational rabbi. And I knew it was time to leave it behind when I felt compartmentalized, when I felt like I had to be one way in my religious life and another way in my spiritual life and another way in my professional life. And I couldn't maintain all these compartments anymore. I knew it was time to turn the job over to somebody who didn't feel compartmentalized by it and find a profession that allowed me to feel like it was integrated into my life, where I didn't have to choose the version of me that was going to be showing up in that particular profession. And I got to be me. And that's the work I do at Soul Centered now. The work I do with clients, the work I do in my own life, the messages I share are all in alignment. And I have a flow in my life. Well, that's the work that you want and need to do in your life. It's the work that I do with the people who I guide. And I would love to talk to you about how to find more integrity, integrated wholeness in your life, not just because it's a cool thing to do, it's an important thing to do, but because it's a way to live in alignment. Right? So often we get out of alignment. I just went to the chiropractor and he said to me, B, look, you can come to me every time there's a problem, right? I'm here for you and I'll help you adjust. But if you want to do the work, you really got to do the little things every day. So, he told me I got to just do this for 20 seconds on each side, multiple times a day. And if I do that, and if I just stretch my hamstrings, he said, if you do that, you will be in continual alignment. You will feel greater flow. You'll come to me as a check-in as opposed to a triage. And the same is true with us in our lives. We can wait till it's time to triage. We can wait till things are out of alignment. We can wait till there's a shattering, till things send us out of our integrity and we're compartmentalized, or we can do the work every day in a continual way to bring ourselves back into alignment. And that begins with looking at the different compartments in our lives and looking at the different interior rooms within our castle, of moving towards an open floor plan in your life, living a life of integrity. If you would love to, if you'd like to learn more, I would love to hear from you. Shoot me an email at Baruch, Baruch, at mysoulcenter.org, or jump over to mysoulcenter.org, reach out to me. We can set a discovery call. I'd be happy to talk to you about how we can use logotherapy, how we can use Kabbalah, how we can use the Enneagram in your life to help you find your defiant spirit, live your defiant spirit, defy those things that compartmentalize you, or you've allowed to compartmentalize yourself. Take back your power and live a life of integrity. That is the defiant spirit, and that is what it means to live a defiant spirit kind of life. Until the next time, shalom, salam, namaste, peace.